We will commence this governing body meeting today with apologies. We've got a couple of apologies for Councillor Arth, Councillor Linda, Councillor Alf and Christine for lateness. Move that seconder, please.
Happy to second.
Oh, Wayne, good on you. Okay, all those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Pass, thank you. Declarations of interest, none of those. Confirmation of minutes. I move that the ordinary minutes of its meeting held on Thursday, 17th of December 2015, including the confidential section, be a true and correct record. Move that seconder. Councillor Cow. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Passed. No acknowledgements and achievements this time. Petitions, none. Public input, none. Local board, no. Extraordinary business, no. Notice motions, no. Now we've got the recommendations here, councillors, and we're going to have a response, first of all, from Maddie. You'll start.
That's not
Working. Is it plugged in? It's not going red, so it might not be plugged in, Matthew, because it's not going red.
Thank you, Your Worship, councillors. So a good workshop yesterday, and so staff have been busy thinking about some of the feedback received yesterday. So we've tabled just a little one-pager there titled Annual Plan Responses to GB Workshop. So I just thought take a couple of moments just to make sure everyone's clear on what the staff actions look like following direction yesterday. So the first primary change there is that we will extend the consultation period by a couple of weeks. So that would take it through to the 24th of March, just before Easter. What that will enable is just about 4 weeks between when we expect householders to receive the summary document in their letterboxes and the time they have to think about their interest in responding to the questions. So we will and can, or we can and will push that out. Squeezes things up a little bit for us at the back end, but we're comfortable we'll be able to deal with that. The second item there, clearly yesterday, a fair bit of interest, understandably, in that summary document itself, while your resolutions today are really focused on the adoption of the consultation document. Plenty of focus on the document that goes out to householders. So look, our timelines are compressed here, but we will move quickly today and get out to you this afternoon a draft copy of that summary document. We will need feedback from you by Monday, so that gives you a couple of days towards the end of this week and the weekend if you're so inclined to have a look at that and provide your feedback through to Nathan in the comms department. And I think we've just probably captured there that we need to work within those timelines to give enough editorials, sub-editing kind of process time next week to get that thing off to the printers by the end of next week. So we will go there and get the summary document out and about on the email for feedback. The other item there too, which had a little bit of conversation yesterday, is we can and will, but again you'll need to get cracking and be busy, give ward councillors the ability for around 150 words messaging that can be part of that summary document. We intend, or the team intend, to reaching out to your respective CSAs this afternoon to test interest and help that process along. But again, I would just encourage you to understand we would need that back in by Monday.
Well done, Matty.
And look, finally, just a wee table there. Staff have done their level best to pick up other items of feedback. The bulk of that was of an editorial nature. I'd like to think we've captured most of that and addressed some of those concerns, and they're listed there.
Very good. Okay. Right, councillors. Now, what I think, so we've got the recommendations there basically as a group. So having heard from the officers and having had a good chance to have some discussion yesterday, is there any comment, query, concerns that people would like to express now, or would we be able to basically get this out to the community in reasonable pace and get the matter moving?
Yep.
Councillor Denise?
Thank you. I've thought about this overnight and have very much kept in mind the truncated timeline and how difficult it is and will be to fit everything in. And I think the extension to the 24th of March is fantastic and just what was required. But I'll have a hard time, and I really do, this is a quandary for me, I have a hard time supporting this. And I've thought to myself, is this about wordsmithing? Is this about getting too bogged down in the detail? But without seeing what's going into letterboxes, for me, that's quite important. And especially reading the response to our workshop yesterday, where it says that the text for the ITL section is still being worked on. I think how that's phrased and how that is transmitted, I understand that the actual submission form, the form that people submit is the same, whether it's in the summary document or whether it's in the consultation or the supporting information. But that summary document is of importance to me. And so perhaps this would have been resolved a little if we'd kept our workshop back on Thursday, which we couldn't have because of protesters. And we might have had a few more days to work this over. So I'm just going to table my concern and hear how comments are further made this morning. But as it stands, for me, that's of importance, that summary document. And I also note here that in the recommendations, it's not entirely clear who approves the summary document, because in E, correct me if I'm wrong, but the delegated responsibility for editing the consultation document and the supporting information and the draft Māori Authority plan is to those listed, the Mayor, the Chair and CFO. So the summary document, the thing that goes out to every ratepayer's letterbox, who has oversight over that?
Okay, we'll give that one some thought. I mean, what Maddie's indicating is that it will go out tonight as a draft, and we're wanting to get people's views back in. If Chamber is significantly concerned about that and wants to see an appropriate marriage between that and the recommendations and the consultation document, then it might well be that we could put a small working party together. You know, I mean, there's ways and means of actually addressing this, but I wouldn't want to see it as anything like a deal breaker. We've got to get something out there. And it needs to, you're right, I mean, you could wordsmith this till the cows come home. It's never going to be perfect. Yep. It's not perfect in my eyes.
That's not my intention, Mr Mayor. It's just simply, you know, there'd be a couple of sections, one on the ITL,
yep.
that,
well,
I mean, we've already talked about changing something around to what?
Okay, so one of the points that I made, and perhaps we'll just reflect on this a little bit as the discussion goes along, is that we could bring together a cross-chamber team to finalise the wording with that, work with Maddie and the team. How about that? That, I think, might be a reasonably sensible way of getting through it and ensuring we continue on with pace. Okay, now I've got Councillor John Watson.
Okay, thank you, Mr Mayor. Yeah, I'd just like to start off by commending Matthew and Aaron and the team for trying to strike this balance between an educative function, which I think we all need realise needs to happen, actually explain to people what things mean, and to do that in a straightforward language, while at the same time catching all the nuances and variations of what some of these complicated mechanisms mean. And I think it especially goes to those two big areas we're concentrating on, the UAGC interim transport levy, and in particular with the UAGC, you know, the notion that there is no free lunch here. If some people get a reduction, other people pay more, and that in many instances the sums that are involved aren't particularly significant. You know, so to kind of suggest that, you know, that's a cure-all in some respects is belied by the figures, as is the notion that, you know, it's one big part of Auckland gaining at the other parts of Auckland's expense, where in reality that is reflected within individual wards. So while Forest Hill might gain on the North Shore, Birkdale and Beach Haven might be the loser, and so forth and so on through each ward. So I commend the team for trying to strike that balance between education and simplicity. And the same goes for the interim transport levy there. Again, the sums aren't great, but I think Councillor Clow made the very good point during the workshop that for our purposes, both as councillors and as a council, people look at the headline figure of the percentage, and if the council is looking to in some way win people over or come across as listening to their responses, clearly the percentage that lines up with the rates increases is absolutely crucial to that. I'm glad to see that the suggestion taken on board about the any other feedback, because as much as we are concentrating on these main issues, there are other issues that I know people feel very strongly about since the long-term plan that have really only become evident in the, since that plan went through. And the one I think of particularly driving around all parts of Auckland is the effect of the policy to do with spraying, chemical spraying in the parks. Leave out any health concerns, just the visual aesthetic, in my view, is absolutely appalling. No matter where you go to in Auckland, you have these beautiful manicured sports fields, and at the sides we have the, well, I think the Ho Chi Minh Trail would have been sprayed less than many of our fields and parks. You go up to some of the parks, it's up at the beautiful Matheson Bay, a more beautiful place you couldn't find. Around every single little bollard, and there must have been about 30 bollards, they've sprayed around it. The historic plaque commemorating the settlers who landed there, that's all sprayed round. The picnic table where people sit down for their lunch is all sprayed. So I think issues like that, it makes us look not very good. It looks like, you know, something you'd see in some third world city, not the most livable city, maybe the world's most chemical city, but I'm hoping people pick up on that and put some pressure on us to actually do something about it, because I think it's a terrible look aesthetically, if no other reason, and there are plenty of other good reasons for Auckland. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor John. Perhaps we'll use your impassioned plea on the matter of weed spraying to remind everyone we're not here debating the issues today. We're trying to get out a consultation document.
Yes, I know. Just referring to any other feedback.
Yeah, look, I know that you would find a way through those concerns that I was expressing there, Councillor John. So let's just keep it focused on it. Otherwise, we'll be here till the cows come home. Councillor Cal.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. I just want to make a comment in regards to, and look, none of it's been said in regards to the extension of the consultation process, and Matt and Aaron and the team, good on you guys. Look, I've sat on this table for the last 5 years. Prior to that, you know, I've been through a number of annual plan processes. This is no different. No different, and I don't think whatever we do, we'll get it right. But you know, there's an opportunity here, as I was just saying to my colleague to the left, that you know, they can go online and gather other information that is required. And I'm sure as we go through the process, that they'll note on their return anything else that they have concerns with, that will be taken on board. I am a little bit concerned about another working party. We struggle now to get people to turn up to workshops, so good on you. But you know, that aside, we need to get it out there, we need to hear from the people of Auckland, and we need to move forward.